Hello. So I just wanted to, no matter what angle I use, the lighting in this room sucks. Hold on. I mean, this is a bit better. Anyways, I just wanted to preface this video by saying I didn't have enough time to edit a full vlog today, so this is a bit of a bonus video. I just wanted to post 2 videos today because I forgot to post on Monday, and by forgot I mean I just didn't edit. I was very exhausted after this past weekend. So this video is kind of like a bonus video, and I thought I'd just share some stories from my time on The Next Step. I seem to be getting a lot of questions in the comment sections about The Next Step and my time on that show, because I feel like a lot of you guys probably knew me from that show, and if not, The Next Step was this dance show that I did from like 2013, I want to say, till like 2017 maybe. I don't really remember the year I came off that show, but that show got super big in the UK, Australia, and Canada specifically, but it was released worldwide, and we got to do these like dance tours across the world. Anyways, it's a really fun, cute kid show that I was on, and I had an incredible amount of stories from that time, so here's just a few of them. Did I ever tell you guys about the time that I went on tour for The Next Step and I met Ben's mom and aunt without him? But it was the best experience ever because I had a security guard with me. The first time I've ever met any one of his relatives was when I was on one of the Next Step tours. We went to this tour in Australia. Ben and I had only been dating for like a month or 2, and I remember touring whatever and finding out that his mom bought tickets or was about to buy tickets to go see the show. And I was like, don't buy tickets, like save your money, because I obviously could get her some free tickets. I remember being like, oh wait, this also means that I have to meet her after the show, which is great. Like, I'm happy to meet his mom and his aunt, but like, usually you have the like boyfriend or girlfriend with you to like ease the process a bit, or like, I don't know. Not that it's really that terrible of a thing, but it's nerve-wracking to meet the boyfriend's parents. Anyways, but the best part of it was I had Kevin, who was our security guard for all of the tours that we did for The Next Step. And he said to me before we went out, he was like, okay, so give me the signal and I'll make up an emergency that we gotta go if you need to. And I was like, what? So like, if it got awkward or if it was weird, like it was only gonna be a quick conversation because we did actually have to leave, like the tour bus was leaving. But if like, I don't know, like meeting the, your partner's parents can sometimes be intimidating. So I literally had a security guard with me, and he had to come out with me because we were in the front lobby, so if there's a lot of fans and it gets overwhelming or... Anyway, so I go out and I said hi to them, and then there was a couple fans there. I took some photos with them and signed some shirts and whatever. Said hi to them. They told me about the show or like the performance, and asked them if they liked the show. Like we mostly just talked about the performance itself, but I think it was weird for them, of course, because they're meeting me in these really strange circumstances where it's not just like, hey, come over for dinner and we'll like get to know you as a person. It was more so just like, hey, here's my security guard, and like, it was just a weird experience. It was a weird first meet with the mom situation. And on top of that, Ben wasn't there, like I said, so I was just like super nervous, and I was like, Kevin, like, you're gonna be my savior. If I get too awkward or if I'm too weird, just like wrap it up for me. But it was quick. It was really nice. We got to say hello. It would have actually been nicer if I had more time with them, but obviously, we did actually have to leave. I didn't end up using the like Kevin out. I was just like, we actually have to leave because we have this the tour bus. So it wasn't that weird. It ended up being great. Like I was worrying about nothing. It's just obviously like the build up to it can be kind of scary, but like they were lovely people, and it was great to meet them and say hi and chat for a bit, and it made me miss Ben a lot. But then once we left afterwards, I was like, that was not bad at all. Like I was kind of obsessing over it for nothing. A lot of questions that I usually get about The Next Step is how I got into it and how the whole process of like how it began and how we got the jobs of being on the show. So first and foremost, like when I first heard about it, it was at my dance studio. So because they wanted real dancers in the show that were actually in high school, they reached out to dance studios in the like greater Toronto area, essentially saying to these studios like, hey, do you have any dancers between the ages of like 14 and 18 who look like they could be in high school, who are in high school potentially, for this new reality TV show? Like that's the way it was told to me. So my dance teacher stopped us at the end of a class one day and was like, hey, there's this audition for this reality show. And so I'm thinking, I don't know that that's really what I want. Like we were told it's going to be just like Dance Moms, which it wasn't at all, but it was very much like that's what we were told. So I went to the audition simply because my dance teacher was like, this is a good opportunity to practice auditioning. So even if you don't get it, even if it doesn't go anywhere or whatever, try it out, see what happens. It's a good opportunity. And so I went to the audition, and I remember the day of, I was gonna back out because my dance teacher said you don't have to go, and my dad was kind of pushing me to go, but I was so nervous. I was like, what is the point? Like, I'm not gonna get this. This is not, I was in my head about it, as I always am. And he was like, Britt, you never know. You're gonna regret it if you don't go. And I'm so happy I listened to him because clearly it changed my life. But yeah, so I went to the audition, and we had to prepare like a couple counts of 8 for like a solo. And then we had to learn a piece of choreography that was like 40 seconds, perform that choreography, then perform the solo, and then we had to stand in a line, like a group of 10 of us. They would like call 10 people forward, and there was like 200 people in the dance studio, and they had them all sit around the side and listen to every single person come forward and answer these questions in front of the camera. And I remember there was like all the like couple producers and writers and like everyone, the creator of the show of course was there, and he was the one, Frank, was asking us questions about like our journey in dance. So he was like, why do you dance? What made you start dance? And then they also asked me, I remember they told me this story that I had to tell back to camera as if it was my own story. So they said the story to a bunch of different people, but the story was, they gave us this story of like, okay, your dad was watching Flashdance when you were little, and he started crying, and you asked him, because he's someone who doesn't really cry easily, you asked him why he's crying, and he said, oh, it's just so beautiful. I'm so moved by what they do, like by dancers and by dance itself. And then me, seeing that as a young kid, decided I want to make my dad feel that way when I'm older. I want to be able to make people feel the same way that my dad feels when he watches dance. That was the story. Not true. Didn't happen to me in real life, but I had to like tell it as if it was true. Essentially to see if you can like pull it off, if you can be natural in front of the camera, if you can like tell back a story that isn't real and make it believable, like all that stuff. And then they asked me a bunch of questions, and then they had us do like scene work. So we had to like be in a group, and they gave us, you know, our intentions. So like you're trying to get your dance teacher to let you out early because you're tired and you want to go home. I remember being in doing a scene with Shamir, who played Chris in season 1. And we did a scene, I don't even remember what it was, but that was super intimidating, and I felt so nervous and shaky and like awkward, but I think that's kind of what worked for Riley. And I do remember them telling me way later that they knew they wanted a Michelle and they knew they wanted an Emily. So like the good new girl who comes in, who's just like kind of innocent and wants to like make everyone stronger together, and then Emily, who's like the mean girl, who's like the head of the dance captain, and is just like, it's my way or no way. So they were looking for those two characters, and everyone else, they were just like, we'll take whatever personalities we think are interesting enough to mesh well together to like create a story around. And then after that, about a week later, we got a call back for technically a pilot. We were told it was a callback, so I was expecting to see like maybe half the amount of people, but it was just 12 people. And I realized, oh, this is it, this is the cast. And then they said, we're just gonna shoot like a pilot episode that we're gonna use to pitch to the network. So it hadn't even been picked up yet. We shot that episode, and the cast was actually a lot different. There was a few characters that ended up getting cut after that. And then there was also Logan, who plays Amanda. She was the one, she actually played Emily in the pilot. That is actually where apparently James and Riley started, because James and Riley wasn't supposed to be a thing. Originally in the pilot, James actually starts flirting with Michelle, and so they were gonna be a thing in the pilot apparently. And then there was a scene where me and Trevor happened to be sitting beside each other in like a diner, and Frank on the spot decided to say, okay, James is gonna like cover Riley because Riley invites Michelle to like the hangout spot even though she wasn't supposed to. And then James like takes the fall for her. And because of that moment, they were like, oh, that would be a cute couple. And then that's where Riley and James started. Months later, we find out that the show got picked up, but Amy, the choreographer and casting director, was like, you know, you guys need to remember that they might be recasting you, so don't get your hopes up just yet. This doesn't mean that you will be in the show. And then I think it was April. Yeah, it was April, like the following year. So we had auditioned in the summer, and then like the following April is when they were like, okay, we're gonna hold another round of auditions. Except the first round we didn't go to. They were just looking for other people to see other options for other characters. And so I'm thinking, okay, well then that means they didn't like any of us. They're gonna recast the whole show, they're gonna hire actors, and then they're gonna double them. That's what I was thinking. They had those round of auditions, and then they had the original cast, the pilot cast, come back to re-audition with all of these new people that they picked from the first round. And so I come in and I'm seeing like 10 other Rileys in the room. And I'm thinking, okay. And I know some of them, I've competed against some of them. And I know, I'm like, oh, they're such an amazing dancer. Like, she's definitely gonna get it over me. Like, that's all I'm thinking. And then we did the audition. It was the same kind of process. We had to improv a routine. We had to learn a dance routine. We had to perform it. And then we had to answer questions and do the little scenes. Like, same kind of setup. I felt so much worse about my acting in that round. And I was like, oh, I'm definitely not gonna get this. Like, there's no way. I was so awkward, and which I didn't realize is kind of a good thing. Like, they like to see the insecurity because that is interesting. That is something that they can write around. They can create a story around someone who is uncomfortable in certain settings, because what happens to those characters if their worst fears come true. And we didn't hear for like a month, and it was killing me because we were also competing, and Brennan Kloss and I were competing at the same dance studio, so we were both waiting. And then I remember getting the call on my way to a dance competition. Amy called me, or she called my dad, and my dad called me. He was like, "You're Riley, you got it, you booked the part." And I remember putting down the window, leaning out and going, "Wow!" like screaming at the top of my lungs. And all the cars were obviously like, what is going on? But I didn't care, I was just so excited. And then when I got to the competition, I saw Brennan, and I was told not to tell anyone. So when I saw him, we both looked at each other and were like, did you? I don't, and we were both like, did you do it? Did you hear good news? And we were both smiling, so we were like, you got it? And I was like, I got it. And he was like, I did, I got it too. And we like freaked out, and everyone was like, what's going on? And we were like, nothing, no, it's no big deal, because we couldn't say anything. We went to New York for our, for finals, for our like, for nationals, for a national competition with our studio, our real studio. Came back, and the day we flew back, we had to start filming. So we like, from the airport, drove to set, and like started our first day of shooting. It was so fun, it was such a cool experience, and I will never forget it. I'm very thankful and grateful for everything, and yeah, that was the year really that kind of changed my life.